I'm now being joined by the spokesperson of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, Dr. Fabian Benjamin. Dr. Benjamin, welcome to This Is Live, the Sunday talk show, here on Arise News.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Well, Dr. Benjamin, you are the spokesperson for JAMB. Tell us, what exactly went wrong? And how did JAMB discover the technical error?
Well, thank you very much. Just as the registrar said in the press conference, we had moved our system from the form-based to the single item-based and all this, and just to ensure that at least we give candidates the best examination ever. And I've said this thing repeatedly, that if not for these very unfortunate incidents, this exercise would have gone down in history as one of the best the board has ever had. And I want to plead with Nigerians. When you have leaders, let us also encourage our leaders to take certain risks. And in taking risks, because we cannot jumpstart our development if we don't dive into the unknown. In taking risks, yes, there are moments that you could have some setback, you could have some challenge, you could fail. But that does not mean that you didn't mean well, or that does not mean that you will not get to where you're going. But if we develop this attitude that once certain things go wrong, they will want to have this the lynching attitude. Leaders will be afraid to take risks, and we will not get to where we intend to get to. We have apologized, and I want to also join the registrar to apologize to these Nigerians who have been subjected to this trauma, and assure them that we'll do everything humanly possible to bring them up to speed with their peers who had their result. As I speak with you now, we had concluded the examination in the southeast region of the country where the candidates were affected, and tomorrow being Monday, we would have concluded the examination in the southwest, particularly in Lagos, because we had more candidates in Lagos than the southeast. So we're able to complete the exam for the southeast yesterday, Saturday, and by tomorrow we would have finished the exercise. How did we discover these particular unfortunate incidents? Immediately after the examination, we started having some complaint here and there. But you know, with every year's exercise, certainly when we release results, candidate will come with 1 or 2 complaints. And what we do is that we have our ticketing platform, we have our complaint resolution center, and we take this in as they come. But we noticed that this year, we are having much more than we've ever had. And then we began to investigate. Before, people are giving credit to Educare and all those things. Before Educare even came on board, we had already set machinery in motion to find out what had actually happened. And that explains why we were able to come up with the findings as early as we did. Otherwise, imagine going through 882 centers. There is no way we would have been able to resolve those issues within the time that Educare came online and when we set up the committee. And as customary with the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, it is not this year, and it's not because people complain. Each year we finish the exercise. There's a review that we do. We invite stakeholders to look at the processes to see that, yes, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. It's just that this year we fast-forwarded because of the avalanche of complaints that were coming from this candidate that felt that they did better than what they had. So as a board, we have learned a lot from this thing, and going forward, I believe that we won't have such an instance again.
Okay, Dr. Benjamin, 380,000 students, approximately, candidates, were affected. Out of 882 centers, quite a substantial number, 65 centers in Lagos, over 90 centers in the southeast were affected. People are saying that with 1.5 million out of 1.9 million students who register for the exam are scoring below 200, that wouldn't it have been a better idea for JAMB to just scrap the entire exam and give every student an opportunity to rewrite instead of this 380,000?
Well, we went through the process, just as I've said earlier. We look at it, we review it manually, both manual and electronics, center by center. And we are sure that the result we issue out in those centers not affected reflects the performance of this particular candidate. But again, let me say this, that I think the public is getting something very wrong. we must first understand the purpose for which this examination is conducted. If you don't understand the purpose of a thing, chances are that you begin to go on a journey that does not actually reflect the reality on ground. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board is established primarily to ensure that it eliminates multiple admissions in tertiary institutions, and it guarantees equity and fairness in the process of admission. Examination only became a vehicle because there is no any other process that we can do this. We can ensure that candidates are justifiably admitted without anybody being shortchanged. And if today we wake up and two things happen: one, that there are sufficient spaces as vacancies for especially programs, highly subscribed programs like medicine, law, engineering, and tertiary institution, we will not be conducting admission again, because what qualifies a candidate for university admission is not the UTME, it is the O-level as defined by the Arusha Convention. Once you have your 5 O-level credits, including Maths and English, you are qualified for tertiary institution admission. So the examination we do is an examination of people who are ab initio qualified for this exercise. But because they are much more than the number that is required, we need to do something to ensure that we sift and then we fetch those ones that are better than the others. Now, talking about 200 and above, our examination is not a pass-fail dichotomy examination per se. Because when you say pass, fail, as the way the public is looking at it, I don't know who has passed or who has failed. For instance, I want to read medicine in university, maybe a private university somewhere. I don't want to use session, because if I say university in the north, people will begin to feel as if I'm downgrading the intelligence and all these things of the northern people. But for instance, I want to read in a particular university somewhere. With 250, I may be admitted into medicine. But I want to go to University of Ibadan, for instance, with 320, I will not have a chance. I stand no chance to get admission into medicine in University of Ibadan with 320, or University of Lagos with 320. But somebody with 250, 270 in another university elsewhere will be admitted. So in the final analysis, if you have 320 and you are not admitted, and somebody has 350, he's admitted. Who has failed the exam or who has passed? Or somebody that has 170 or 180, and he wants to read physics single honors, or he wants to read agriculture, or he wants to go into education, and he's admitted. And you have 320, you want to read medicine, and you're not admitted. So by the time they close the admission exercise, and two of you are seated somewhere, they will say, okay, you sat for 2025 at UTME, and this man with 180 is admitted, you with 320 is not admitted. So who has failed, who has passed? And that explains why you cannot look at it within the concept of fail pass, or within the concept of somebody scoring this. It is a ranking exercise. These candidates are all qualified by virtue of their O-level requirement that they have. But because we don't have sufficient spaces to accommodate everybody, that is why we are doing this exam. We could just say, okay, if we have this candidate in a space, even in the football field, we'll say, okay, on your marks, get set, oh yeah, we'll fire a gun. And the first person that will appear there will ask you, which program do you want to do? You say medicine. You say, okay, go into medicine. Because he has his O-level. He has 5 O-level credits, some of them 5 A's in all the requirements. So they are qualified. And don't forget that institutions all over the world are not on the same rating. The admission requirement for University A elsewhere will be different from University B. What I'm trying to say in essence that a university may decide to say, okay, we're taking 200 for medicine. There is nothing wrong in that. Another university will say, we're taking 350. That does not mean that...
Dr. Benjamin, I get your argument. Which is why some people have been saying that JAMB should not even be conducting examinations. Some people say JAMB will conduct its examinations, the universities will conduct their own examinations. Then what's the purpose of UTME? People cite the example of UCAS in the United Kingdom. They say UCAS is just a clearinghouse. It doesn't conduct examinations. So some people are saying, well, maybe the lesson from this should be for the JAMB to be remodeled further. What do you say to that?
Well, if you look at the number of applicants that we have in Nigeria vis-a-vis what UCAS handle and the spaces they have that they can play with, you will now understand why we do examination. And I've said this repeatedly, even today I've said it, that if tomorrow we are comfortable the way UCAS is comfortable, we will revert back to the clearinghouse function that we are supposed to be. We are doing examination because, for instance, you have medicine, let's say University of Ilori, or you have a carrying capacity of barely maybe 100, and then you have 10,000 people applying to Mercy University of Ilori. Of course, you can't have any other method that you would do than to begin to conduct examination to see how you can select them. But if, for instance, University of Ilori in a particular year, and they have their carrying capacity, for instance, 100, I'm not saying it's 100, I'm just giving an illustration, and then you have 80 applying to University of Ilori, they won't even do any examination and stuff like that. And then when you talk about pursue TME, there is nowhere in the world, if you look at the university, the tertiary institution system, when I mean university, I'm talking about the entire tertiary institution, there is no way you conduct admission and you say the institution will not have a say in who comes to them. They must also have a second layer clearing to say, okay, JAMB has done this thing. Let us also look at this and that. What pursuit TME actually were the inventors, the people that established, came up with the pursuit TME during the then Minister of Education. It was that, look, let us have a screening. You come with your certificate, let us look at the certificate and see that we ascertain those claims that you say you possess. So pursuit TME is not a kind of saying that, okay, JAMB is not valid and all this thing. Moreover, if you look at the tertiary institution as it stands today, over 70% of them don't do pursuit TME again because of the validity or the correlation that they've done, the correlation study they've done that UTME agrees with the performance of candidates over the period of time. Some of them don't do any exam. All they do is just to screen their candidate. You submit your O-level and all this, they screen it to ensure that the candidate that's coming to them is actually the candidate that has been sent to them by JAMB.
Okay. Professor Oloyede has apologized. You have also reiterated that apology to Nigerians. But what we were told, that there was a patch that was added to the delivery system in terms of the uploading of responses. And then technical service providers were the ones who failed. Professor Oloyede has taken responsibility. But who are these service providers? Can they be named? And are they going to be sanctioned, punished? Because in the course of this whole drama, one lady, 19-year-old Timileyin Opeshusi, committed suicide. Those CBT technical service providers, Nigerians are saying they want to know who they are and they need them to be sanctioned. Would there be sanctions?
Well, let me first of all sympathize with the family of the lady that committed suicide. It is quite unfortunate. It's something that is regrettable. We should not be losing our bright minds at this particular stage. These are leaders of tomorrow. Somebody that could have been very resourceful in the future, that could have helped this nation. We really sympathize with the family, and we are doing everything humanly possible to reach them, to also extend our sympathies and condolences to the family. But talking about sanctions, yes. You know, when you talk about sanctions, sanctions are in different measures. You could sanction somebody in diverse 100 and so many measures that you could talk about. But let us also be careful that if you look at what is happening globally today, we are having shortage of some of these experts in this particular field and stuff like that. More so that if you have had experience with somebody for over 9 years who had delivered excellently, and then you have conducted your investigation to see that, okay, this particular incident is not deliberate, it's not malicious, it's not sabotage, it's not intended to embarrass the boss or cause any harm on anybody and stuff like that, then you could also be careful in whatever sanction that you are making. Otherwise, for every mistake, you throw somebody overboard, you may end up not even having a system. You would have ended up throwing everybody, and then tomorrow, even the examination, you may not be able to conduct. We will not want to mention names at this point for several reasons. One, we don't want the public to begin to feel as if we are passing buck. When something happens, common with some people, we begin to look for people, scapegoat, people that you can hang this cross on their neck. But the registrar has come out clear to say, look, hold me responsible. Whatever it is, I bear full responsibility and stuff like that. And secondly, we know the nation where we belong. And we don't want to further broaden our fault lines. By the time we mention these names, people will begin to look at it from sectional angles and stuff like that. And we are always careful in our operations so that we don't deepen our fault lines and begin to create division. One of the reasons why we exist is to ensure that at least we unify the nation. And when things happen like this, we try as much as possible to reduce the tension and ensure that the purpose for our existence is further achieved and stuff like that. So going forward, we will not want to mention the names. We will continue to see how we can do our best. This candidate have sat this examination, and we'll see how at least we'll release the result and move ahead.
Okay. Dr. Benjamin, the House of Reps has already launched an investigation. Now, is JAMB willing to cooperate with the House of Representatives because the House of Representatives is already asking questions? Legislative
well, if
oversight.
we were ready to open our system to it, yes, if we are ready to open our system to stakeholders, if you look at the composition of people that have come to look at what we are doing, the review exercise, you will see that it's broader than comprising intellectuals and all manner of people. One more of people that have the legislative power, people that they are empowered by law to do oversight and stuff like that. We are not averse to any section of the country, both legally, House of Reps has been empowered by the Constitution to perform their own responsibility. They have oversight role over us. And even without what had happened, they've been looking at our system over and over. Even when we had the Mesoma incident some years back, they came, they look at our operation right from registration, from the conduct of the examination up to the admission exercise, which is the end stage of the process. So they are welcome. We will show them what we have done. The registrar has apologized. He has admitted. I'm not sure there's anything else that is unknown as far as this particular exercise is concerned. So we are not averse to anybody that individuals have come, people that are not even empowered by law have come to look at what we are doing. The civil society organizations have come, several organizations have come, besides even the one that we have, the broader group that have come to look at what we are doing. We are only careful, some have written a JAMB, but we are careful that look for whatever you are doing, there must be a beginning and an end. So we have stopped opening our system to groups and all this thing, but the House of Reps or the Senate, these are people that are empowered by law to do oversight. And we believe that their constituents would have been asking them questions and all this, and it is good that they know what had happened, so that when they go back, they will be able to answer appropriately.
Okay, Dr. Benjamin, final question. What is JAMB going to do to restore public trust and confidence?
Well, we will continue to do what we've been doing. We know that this is a setback, and it's not something that we'll begin to strive to say we want to please anybody and all these things. We'll continue with our functions normally. If you read about us, you will see that we've been conducting the exam not only in Nigeria, not only for candidates who wants to go to tertiary institutions. We've conducted an exam for Postgraduate College of Surgeons, Postgraduate College of Physicians. We've done exam for other sister agency, recruitment, promotion. We've done exam for other international organizations, and we have one even coming up recently, a very big one that I don't want to mention because I don't have the permission of the organization to mention their names. So we don't know whether they want people to know that we are the ones that is doing the examination for them and stuff like that. So we'll continue to play this role that we're playing, and I believe the public will continue to read us through these particular roles that were examinations and so many things that we're doing, and see how we go from there. And I believe that whatever setback we've had, in no distance time, that confidence will be restored.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, the spokesperson of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. Thank you for joining us on This Day Live, the Sunday Talk Show.